Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center. As you can see by the title, man, I'm going to be talking about, are diva receivers really needed or worth the hassle? Or if we're gonna say dominant, we're gonna say that. I ain't gonna say divas, we're gonna say dominant, but a lot of the dominant ones are divas. So this has been a topic of conversation I've been wanting to talk about for a while now, because I always here recently I started asking myself that, like, because I'm looking at teams like Kansas City from last season. They won a Super Bowl. They didn't have no top tier receiver. When you look at the Patriots in their years, other than Randy Moss, they never had top tier receivers. So I got to think of other teams, but other teams are able to make it happen without the top tier, the big name players. So I was looking at Colin Hurd. He was interviewing Tom Brady, and he asked Brady about it, and Brady kind of touched on it. How it is when you having to deal with a top guy. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, right? Brady was saying that, we're gonna use an outside receiver, outside guy who lines up outside the numbers. When you lining up outside the numbers, it's only so much you can do because you got the sideline working against you. You know what I mean? So your route tree really is limited. But then, like Brady was saying too, also, if you want to take away a top guy, an outside guy, it's a lot easier. It's like he said, because you can drop back into cover two and, have a corner underneath and a safety over the top. And they can kind of keep them bracketed in so it can kind of slow down the momentum. I wouldn't say completely stop it, because those guys that have that it factor is very difficult to stop. But you can minimize it and slow them down. But then the frustration can take them out their game to where it does stop them. So Brady was saying that, you would have to be good at communication. And that's like, you would have to go to the guy and say, hey man, check this out. I'm gonna be honest with you. The way that they're playing us defensively and they're scheming against us is to take you out of the equation. So they're putting focus on you. That means now you have to be, you don't stop being you because you're being double teamed, and for the most part, you're not getting the ball. Still run out the huddle after we done said the play as if the ball is coming to you every time. Give 100% effort, because if not, then they'll probably start to slack off because they feeling like, okay, they can kind of tell when the ball is coming your way, because when the ball ain't coming your way, you're kind of going through the motions, not really in a hurry. But when the ball is coming your way, now you're trying to make something happen, so it's easier to identify. You know what I mean? And you have to understand that at the end of the day, what's most important is not stats, it's winning the game. That's all that's important. So whether we win the game with you having 10 catches, 100 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, or we win the game with you having maybe 2 catches for 20 yards and no touchdowns, it's still okay because we're winning. You know what I mean? But you have a lot of receivers, prime example, Stephon Diggs. And if you look at Stephon Diggs over last season, even the season before, a lot of last season or the season before last, he was always on the sideline whining, crying, and complaining about something. And, he's coming to Josh Allen, getting in Josh Allen's face and, just probably saying, man, give me the ball, man, yada, yada, yada. But Josh Allen looking like, bro, we're winning. It's like they're doubling you. So if I throw the ball to you, look at how selfish that this sounds. If you're being double teamed, right? And I say, you know what, just to make him happy, let me give him the ball. And I throw the ball into double coverage and they get picked off. And ultimately, we lose the game. What benefit was it me targeting you and we knew that was going to be counterproductive? You know what I mean? I understand that we all have individual incentives. You get X amount of catches, X amount of touchdowns, or receiving touchdowns. Quarterback get X amount of pass completions, touchdowns, yards. We all got those incentives, but we can't let those incentives take away from what is most important, and that's actually winning. So you ask yourself, man, look at some of the teams throughout the years that's won. Seahawks, prime example. They never had no top tier receiver. They had a top tier running back, but they never had a top tier receiver. If you want to be completely honest, the Saints, Marcus Colston was phenomenal. I love Marcus Colston. He was a phenomenal receiver, but Marcus Colston, to my knowledge, was never voted into a Pro Bowl. So that lets you know that he wasn't just that factor, but when you're dealing with a quarterback like Breeze know how to spread the love out. So he makes, those guys better. But you look at those guys, they're willing to do whatever they're asked to do because they know that, like with the top guys, they going to tell you what they will and won't do. Like what made me just remember about this video. So I was looking at the documentary on Netflix, Receiver, and I'm looking at a game where the Lions, I forgot who it was they was playing, and the coach after that game, you know, he was trying to get the team fired up and let them know the effort that we need on each play. So it was towards the end of the game, they're getting blew out, getting their butts whooped. But Armand Browns doesn't want to come out the game. They try to take him out the game. He say, no, I want to stay in the game and run the ball so I can block. And you look at 3 possessions I've seen from that. I'm talking about hard blocking. But that's the type of mentality. That's that down and dirty. But a lot of top guys aren't willing to do that. A lot of top guys, you know, if the ball isn't coming to them, they're not happy. So my thing is, like, with those top guys like Stephon Diggs, okay, if the ball ain't coming to you, well, find other ways to make yourself useful. You know what I mean? Go out in the run game and attack and get blocks and help contribute to scoring if that's, you know, what it is. So the ultimate goal should be that. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So if we're winning, I don't want to hear no complaints from you about you not getting targets. You know what I mean? And you even heard Devontae Adams was saying that in the same documentary. He was saying that, you know, one of the reasons what was leading to a lot of his outbursts wasn't necessarily because he wasn't getting the ball, but there wasn't winning games either. So obviously, if you put 2 and 2 together, you give me the ball more, we start winning more ball games. You know what I mean? So you start to have a level of frustration, anger, and resentment because you're feeling like you're not, you know, that they're not on the same page with you in terms of trying to win because they're not feeding you. But it's not just that. It's just the defense is doing a good job at taking you out of the equation. You got to think, too, in the NFL, it's fast. The speed of the game is fast. So if we got good coverage in the secondary, and they got good pressure up front, you don't have time to sit there and watch this one receiver. If you're not there, check down or go somewhere else and check down. First read, second read, then check down. That's what I have to do. You know what I mean? Because of what they're doing. We're not going to play into what they want us to do and try to force you the ball and, you know, create turnovers and put ourselves in position to lose the game. So it's all about winning. And when you look at a lot of receivers, they tend to take on egos, and the ego, in a sense, becomes bigger than the team, the brand of who that person is. You know, you look at it throughout the years of history, you know, with Chad Ochocinco, with changing his name from Chad Johnson to Ochocinco. It's like, you know, it's a distraction. You know what I mean? You look at Odell the early years, you know, when all he wanted to do is dance at the pregame and all it takes away. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like it's a distraction. We coming in to go to war, but we got that, and it's throwing everybody's focus, and it's throwing off that killer mentality. You know what I mean? But that's something most definitely I do want to elaborate on more in the future. I just decided now, while it was on my mind, I want to make sure I kind of get out there and put this first thing out there. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about that. And let me know other teams that won that didn't have top guys. I'm talking about in the league time when they were playing top 10, top 15 guys. You know, let me know situations like that, other teams that, you know, that won. But like I said, let me know in the comments how y'all feel about that. You know, do y'all agree with me about, you know, sometimes I believe having a number one guy ain't worth it. Because, and here's another thing, just food for thought too, for those who don't know. So a lot of y'all probably gonna be saying, well, okay, if you don't have that type of guy, how are you gonna win games and how are you gonna, you know, move the ball offensively if the guys can't get open? I'm glad y'all asked that. So you got to think about it. Corners press for the most part whenever they're in man-to-man coverage. They press, right? Zone, they don't necessarily press because their responsibility is a specific zone unless they're on a certain side where it leaves you based off of the coverage, you are one-on-one with this guy. But other than that, it's dropping back into zones. So if you are a man-heavy team and we know that we don't have the receivers to shake free, you know, naturally, we're going to create opportunity. We're going to scheme them to be open. What that mean? Running rub routes, running pick routes, even doing screenplays, things like that to try to get the ball in their hands because they don't have to worry about the factor of being pressed whenever you're doing that. Because if you run it stacked on a side, 3 receivers here, it's hard to press up. Because if you try to press up, and like you say, and they do run pick and rub routes, you fall victim to them. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of adjust the alignment based off of that alone. But so that's the answer for those who may be thinking that. But that is it for this video, man. If you guys enjoyed this video, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, man, and if you've been watching my videos this whole time, you have not already, man, make sure you subscribe. And when you subscribe, click that post notification bell. That way you be notified every time I drop. Because like I always tell y'all, I got these videos coming back to back, man. I'll see y'all in the next video.